That's why people appreciate you, because you give it to them straight. Actually, I guess this is the final question. So recently, I'm sure you've seen it, there was leaked footage. We helped spread this, show these two videos back to back of Kevin O'Leary back in 2013-14, not only demonstrating and articulating that he knew what the value of Bitcoin was, but he even seemed interested, as opposed to, cut to today on CNBC with you. He doesn't know the difference between any of these things. He doesn't really know what gives Bitcoin value. What do you think about that?
You called it garbage this morning.
I want to explore the idea. Yeah, I did say that. I want to explore the idea that there's nothing here except raw speculation. No different than when I go to Las Vegas and put my money on black or red on a roulette wheel, because where is the intrinsic value inherent in deploying real capital? Let's talk real money here, and putting it into Bitcoin as a storage of value. I get gold. For 2,000 years, including the Romans, they saw value in owning that as an asset class. Tell me why this, which is basically a digital game, that's the way I look at it, has any intrinsic value.
What's going on with this huge rise from $20 way up into the hundreds and then a precipitous fall yesterday?
Well, let's remember that until yesterday, most people around the world never heard of Bitcoin. Bitcoin, for those who don't know it, is basically virtual currency, the same that you get for blasting aliens in a video game, except now traded globally. You can buy Bitcoins with virtually any currency on Earth and convert back into any currency, or buy goods and services with it.
Well, we talked about the story. What really got us talking about Bitcoin was the guy in Edmonton who was selling his house for the first time, wanted 400,000 in Bitcoins.
So I think the best way to look at this is a proxy for the mistrust individuals have of central bankers. If you're willing to take Bitcoin as a currency, a virtual Barbie currency to me, it has no basis, no central banker, no hard asset behind it. But if you don't trust any other currency, this is where you go. So essentially what's happening here, Heather, people all around the world are saying, I've had it with my central banker. I don't trust politicians anymore. I'm going to trade with this currency with my computer and my cell phone.
I taught a class at Harvard 18 months ago that young people in that class challenged me. I put $100 into something called Coinbase, which is a wallet thing. And
you buy Bitcoin?
I bought them all. I bought all the crypto crap. I put $100 in. It's now worth 30.
30.
That's a 70% loss on my crypto crap. Now, I bought them all. I think that really sucks. And I think people should understand today that the hot digital is Bitcoin. Tomorrow it could be whatever, right? When people actually put real money into this, they make no interest, they can't pay their taxes with it, the regulators don't like it, which is always a problem for compliance. And where's the long-term value? Just this idea that they're going to cut the number of units in half, that's such a scam. That's just totally BS.
So I would say two things. One is...
So I ignore everything till it gets to $1 billion of market cap.
Okay.
That happened recently with Bitcoin, well over $1 billion in value. So it's here to stay. When you've accumulated a virtual worth of $1 billion and people are willing to trade it and actually buy things with it, turn it back into hard assets, and here's the key, Heather, owners of hard assets are willing to take Bitcoin, this is here to stay. That's what's going to happen, and no central banker can control it.
But you just called it a Barbie currency. I was going to say, is it all hocus pocus? I mean, is it a legitimate form of currency to trade?
It is.
Is it a legitimate form of currency to trade?
It is.
Is it a legitimate form of currency to trade?
It is. And as soon as it passed $1 billion and someone bought a hard asset with it, in my books, as an investor, it became real.
Look, I love your optimistic view of it. You haven't changed my mind at all. It's still garbage, and I'm not going to take real money and put it into this thing. And I'm not going to take real money and put it into this thing. And I'm not going to take real money and put it into this thing. It's never going to happen. I mean, imagine real money, taking real dollars that I'm making in cash 2.1% on and putting it into crypto crap.
Agree to disagree.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
nobody's going to put a large part of their net worth into this thing because it can go up and down 60% in a day, as we saw yesterday. But is it here to stay? Oh, yeah. So will I take 2 or 3% in Bitcoins? I think I might. I'm going to start looking at it. So will I take 2 or 3% in Bitcoins? I think I might. I'm going to start looking at it. I'm going to start looking at it.
Are you really? I was going to say, are you into this at all?
I have a basket of currencies, Heather. The way you diversify your risk in currencies is to own many of them. I own euros, I own Swiss francs, I own Canadian dollars, American dollars, and I might start to dabble a little dabble-dooey of Bitcoin.
That's exactly what I was going to say. All right, thank you for the primer. Kevin O'Leary, our business commentator, the chair of O'Leary Funds. Thanks, Kevin.
Kevin O'Leary back in 2013-14, not only demonstrating and articulating that he could he knew what the value of Bitcoin was, but he even seemed interested, as opposed to, cut to today on CNBC with you. He doesn't know the difference between any of these things. He doesn't really know what gives Bitcoin value. What do you think about that?
It's television. You got to remember that everyone on that television screen is an entertainer. And so Kevin's no dummy. And I tend to think if he thought about 2013 Bitcoin was interesting, unless he's got amnesia, I'm sure he understands exactly what he's doing.
But off camera, is he still keeping the same thing, like the same kind of point of view? Or?
He's an entertainer, and he knows exactly what he's doing. So, look, I think that he actually, again, he's a net positive for the space, and that he's bringing people in because of his name, his notoriety, his audience, and so he's an open-minded investor, right? And he understands, hey, if you're a capitalist and there's a place to make money, he's interested, right? And I think that that's why he's on television talking about Bitcoin. If it didn't matter, he wouldn't be talking about it.
Interesting. Hey, man, appreciate the interview. Do you have any message
Absolutely.
for our Altcoin Daily audience? 125,000 active subscribers, and don't let the name fool you. We're very pro Bitcoin.
Long Bitcoin, short the bankers.
There you go. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Pom. All right, we are back with my friend, everybody's friend, Anthony Pompliano. Anthony, how are you doing today?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Of course. What do you prefer, Anthony, Pomp, Tony?
I joke with everyone and say I couldn't lose the Pomp nickname if I tried at this point.
Right, it's a brand by now.
It's something.
Right. Cool. So we come to you for big picture type questions and also just the real facts. I think a lot of people look to you. They appreciate your opinion. So hoping you can help me answer a couple questions. Let's start off general. Bitcoin is...
It's a lot of things. I think Bitcoin is just a way to peacefully protest the issues that are wrong with the legacy financial system.
Right. Oh, look at this guy.
Long Bitcoin, short the bankers.
All right, who was that?
Travis Kling.
Oh, of course. Hey, by the way, I have a coin mine. I like it.
Oh, you do?
Both me and my brother run it. Our dad runs it.
Coinmine.com/pomp. Just go check it out.
There you go. Do it. What do you think in the short to medium term is the biggest misconception? Whether you're a new person or have been in the space a while, what's the biggest misconception when it comes to Bitcoin?
I think a lot of people don't understand why it's important or how it works as much as they look at it as a kind of get-rich-quick scheme, right? So it's very volatile. There's a price associated with it. It's somewhat like a casino to them. And so there's a function for that. Price brings people in. But I think that the people who stay and understand exactly what it does, why it's important, how it, again, can just peacefully protest what goes on in the financial system, think that they end up, proven to stick around for a long period of time.
Yeah, I agree with that. This next question is probably the one he gets on CNBC all the time. So we have a looming recession coming. Maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but sometime it's going to happen. How do you think Bitcoin's going to deal with that?
Well, look, the short answer is we don't know, right? Nobody knows. Bitcoin has thrived during one of the longest bull markets in history. I tend to believe that it will do pretty well when central banks continue to cut interest rates and print money with quantitative easing, but we don't know, right? And so it's something that we're paying very, very close attention to. But if you look at it from a kind of historical perspective, I think something like this with the non-correlation and the asymmetric upside, I think that people will be quite intrigued to see how it performs then.
Asymmetric upside. That's always the go-to.
Asymmetric upside is always important when you make investments because every investment can go to zero for the most part, and so you're looking for kind of the power law to take over, right? And so it's something that I'm attracted to. And then when you add in the non-correlation, right? If you have a portfolio that's 100% either fiat currency or assets denominated in fiat currency, the ability to get into assets that are non-correlated is really important because it can actually lower the risk of the overall portfolio.
Hey, this is something I've always wondered about you. A lot of people take the Peter McCormack approach in crypto. Nothing wrong with that, where you start off, me too, you think all cryptocurrencies are equal. Did you start off by liking just general, crypto, altcoins, it's all good, or did you always start off with Bitcoin, or how did you make that journey?
Yeah, so for me, I've always had two very specific investment theses, right? One is that humans are going to trust algorithms over other humans, and so they're likely to eventually store their wealth in a financial system where it's driven by software and algorithms, right? So Bitcoin specifically. And then the second was that every stock, bond, currency, and commodity would be digitized in the future. I think that Bitcoin is the kind of product of the currencies being digitized, but I still think that stocks, bonds, and commodities will get digitized as well over time. And then the third thing, which we came out very publicly and said we don't think that investing in these ICOs is a great investment opportunity. We tend to think that there's more benefit to the entrepreneur than there is to the investor. It's something that we're not going to do. We took our lumps for it online when we said it, but I tend to think that
who's laughing now?
You said it, not me, but but I do tend to think that that there will be a time and a place for new funding mechanisms for corporations. I just don't think that the form factor in which it played out in 2017 is going to be it. So we'll see kind of where that ends up over the next kind of 5 years or so.
That's why people appreciate you, because you give it to them straight. Actually, I guess this is the final question.